pleasant good Wednesday evening. Happy holidays to you and yours. This is the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show as presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. Tonight, all hoops to talk about on Minnesota and North Dakota side of the river. We'll hear from Jay Bachman and Andy Braaten with both Central Cass and Carrington girls basketball. Travis Hoeg from Fargo North. Brad Woehl from the Kindred Vikings will also get an opportunity to speak with Crosby-Ironton and Pequot Lakes basketball coaches. And our senior spotlight will be Larson of the Ada-Borup-West Cougars. But let's get into our conversation. Our own Devin Kruger and a one-on-one with Crosby-Ironton girls basketball coach.
For our YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, we welcome Pete Vukelich, head coach for the Crosby-Ironton girls basketball team. Currently, as we're talking, 7-0 on the season, ranked number 2 in Class AA, coming off back-to-back trips to the state tournament. Obviously, lots of cool accolades on the intro, Pete, but thanks for taking some time with us on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate all the coverage you guys do, so we're more than happy to join you.
Well, obviously, congratulations in order, and it's not surprising that you're off to a great start. This great crew that has led the Rangers to back-to-back state trips. Now, really a junior-laden group now for your 6th year. Just the luxury of having a core like this, Pete. What has it meant to you in terms of what you can do with these girls right from day one at practice?
Yeah, it's huge because there's not a lot of repetition. Like we don't have to, a lot of the girls remember the plays from last year or remember the principles we instilled. So you don't have to have that we still have the culture talk and this and that, but you don't have to go as deep with it. They've heard you, and almost with, teenage girls, sometimes they're like, gosh, sound like a broken record. You sound like my dad, it's like, well, we need to say these things. We need to do these things over and over. So it's been great. We've been fortunate that this junior class has come through, and shout out to my assistant, Kyle Bartles. He was his daughter Riley plays on the team. She's a junior. He's been coaching them since 3rd grade, I think, as traveling team and stuff. So, once you get a part of that in small town Minnesota, you have to have a parent buy-in from a young age, helping them through. And then we're fortunate enough on the varsity end to reap those benefits of, those youth coaches putting in the great time with these kids. So hats off to him. And it's been a fantastic group, really fun group. And, they're still hungry, believe it or not, for more success.
Well, I think, and that was where I was going to go next, is you're coming off a 4th place finish. And I think it's a little bit of that typical transition that you do sometimes see is you make the state tournament, lose the first game, lose the second, go 1-2 or 0-2, and especially with a young team, feeds that hunger. The next year you take that first game, and then last year you're coming off a 4th place finish. How much have you noticed, Pete, the hunger from day one to now 7 games into the season of continuing to improve and keep that drive to take a step again this year?
Yeah, it's definitely there, and it does seem to be which I love as a coach. It's kind of maybe a different girl every day, or every other day talking about the goal. It's Sammy one day, if we want to be champions, we got to work hard. I'm like, whoa, where is this coming from? Lucy Lewandowski came up with it, we're building champions in this gym. It's like, where did that come from? So they're hungry. And, we tried to tell them in the 3rd place game last year, there's only 3 teams from each class that get to end their season on a victory. The first place, the 3rd place, and the consolation. We were fortunate enough to be playing in the 3rd place game. Didn't go our way. Minnehaha shot the lights out, which is, that'll happen. But yeah, they want to end this year on a win. They want to end this year on a positive note, and like you mentioned, we got 0 wins the first year. We got 1 win the second year. We're hoping for 2 wins the 3rd year, maybe a 3rd win, that's ultimately a goal, but they have been very good though too of playing in the present, 1 game at a time. We didn't, we got to look forward to tonight Pillager. We got to look forward to Rock Ridge. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves and look forward to March, but the hunger is there for March, no doubt.
Well, and the other part too is when you look at it from the growth standpoint, with that core being sophomores to juniors, is there anything, Pete, that through the first the first 7 games has really stood out to you about growth in terms of execution on the floor for the Rangers?
Yeah, I think so. When they're freshmen, we had a really great job of like understanding your role. Sammy and Lucy were just freshmen coming in. You got to play good defensive minutes for us. Shoot an open layup if you got it, but we're not putting a lot of pressure on you to score just as freshmen. And then last year with it was all of our girls, all Crosby, born and raised, and their roles expand a little bit. We look for Sammy and Lucy to maybe score a little bit. We had Margaret shooting threes, and now this year with Regan coming in, like roles have changed a little bit again, where we're not necessarily looking for Sammy and Lucy to score a lot. We got Tori, we got Regan, both averaging over 20 points a game. We just need you to lock in defensively and get those rebounds, which they're both doing a great job with, leading fast breaks. So I think everyone's really starting to buy in now to like their role, and they're being great at what they're good at. And we can help build the rest of the tools, but just be great at what you're good at. And they've really embraced that. Emma Siljan's been great on defense for us this year. Veronica Millsop as well, like defense and rebounding. That's what we need from those girls. So I think just the total buy-in of like, I'm going to be doing this. You girls can do this. I'm just going to stay in my lane, because that helps the team. Just because you have a role doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do. We want you to be great at it, and we'll help with the other things and chip in with the other things. Like Sammy and Lucy don't shoot many threes. They each made a 3 last Saturday. So it's like, hey, all right, you're starting to develop a jump shot. Great. We're 7 games in. If we can keep that going, make you more of a threat. So they're just eager to expand their roles, but also being great at what they're good at.
And you talked about with Regan coming in. Obviously, Tori Orline has been a star for many, many years. She's got her college commitment. That's kind of something that's that's off to the side now, because that's passed, as much as people probably asked you about that leading up to it. And then you have Regan Juneman, who comes in from a section rival, and it's the second time in a few years that you've had a player that wanted to come play for this team, wanted to come play with a player like Tori Orline. Is that an interesting position to be in as a head coach?
Super. You don't anticipate it, right? Like you have your core, especially in small town Minnesota. You have your kids, right? We're not built like like Edina, for instance. Like we had 8th graders. Like, well, that 8th grader tried out, and then they made the team. Where it's like we get what we get here, and for those players to come in, I think it speaks really highly of Tori, because wanting to come in and play with a player like that, I think it's huge for her. And I hope like some more media can see that, like she's attracting players where, unfortunately Marshall lost a great one, and Regan's fitting great with us. And also why I think last year's state tournament was so special. I said it earlier, but like how it was all just Crosby girls. So we went to state as we didn't have any transfers. It was just straight up Crosby girls. So, but Regan adds a new dynamic that we didn't have last year. Margaret was a great player. She extended the floor for us. She was our outside threat. But Regan, she's shooting, I think it's like almost 58% or something from 3-point this year, which is just it. I mean, Steph Curry doesn't put up those kind of numbers. So 7 games into the season, she's been great at extending the floor for us. She also runs the floor great. So and the girls have just bought in with her too. They knew what she was going to bring to the table, and they just let her have that. Kind of like they let Hannah Compton just be the outside threat, which helps us a lot.
All right, I can't let you go without getting this one. You're in your 6th year. You reached win number 100. So I had to do the quick math, average of 16 wins a year. Now, obviously, you've had a few more than that these last few years. When you got into this and being a Crosby-Ironton graduate, you're coaching your home team. You talk about it, and you can tell when you talk about it, there's that passion of representing your hometown. What does reaching 100 wins in just a small handful of years? What does that mean to you, Pete?
It means a lot. It means that I think everyone who's suited up for maroon and white have had kind of the CI tough mentality, where we'll grind out some wins. My first year, I think I was like 16-12. And then the COVID shortened year, I think we were like 17-4. I want to say we lost to Pequot twice, lost to Mountain Iron Buell. Then we lost to Esco in the semifinal. So Like that year could have been really special looking back, but I think it's just been great. You know, the community that, as you've seen at games, like it's just grown and grown and grown. The home crowds, it's incredible. Like this last Saturday, I mean, to look up in the stands and just see all the support. So it means a lot. And I think it might help that I was, you know, CI born and bred. I think there's that connection with the community there. And also the girls. I think the girls, like, they know what I've been through as an athlete here, and they've known I've fallen short here of a state title when I was a player. So I think that helps. Like they want to get it together. And I think, you know, just that whole tie has helped us a lot. And I'm thankful for every player and all the support all the way.
Well, again, you know, our congratulations to you on the milestone, the great start. Certainly looking forward to seeing what this season holds for the CI Lady Rangers. Pete, we sure appreciate the time, and we'll see you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Devin.
Pete Vukelich, head girls basketball coach for the Crosby-Ironton Rangers, here on the Your Live Event Coaches Show.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Well, joining us here is Brad Woehl from the Kindred Vikings perspective here for boys basketball. And Brad, I know when we're recording this interview, you're getting ready for Hillsborough Central Valley for your season opener. That was last night, so this more of a true season preview, if you will. But a couple of really good non-region opponents to start the season off with the Burros. You got Shiloh Christian, Killdeer, another team that made state from a season ago. Then you get Thompson on January the 3rd before you kind of get into your thick of it with region play. So first things first, how has things gone so far transitioning for the boys from the fall to the winter sports, and then also getting geared up for a good non-region play here to start the season off, Brad?
Well, it's been going very well to this point. Kids are coming in, working hard. Getting into basketball shape is, you know, always a little bit of a concern. You know, that first week of practice, kids are healthy, and like I said, they've been working hard and they're ready to go versus Hillsborough.
I know, talking with you in the past, defense is where it's going to start with, you know, taking care of the ball, rebounding. So what do you bring back from a team that made a state tournament from a season ago that you feel like has some varsity experience? And you might find some guys in different roles as well as you do every year, Brad, but we're going to be some players that you feel like coming back that can hit that, you know, mantra of, you know, defense, rebounding, and, you know, value in the basketball for you.
So we have 4 starters back. Jake Starcevic, Carson Ossie, Presley Peraza, and Brooks Bacco. Those 4 started for us all season long last year. We also have a senior that's projected to start right now, Isaac Spellhogs. He's about 6'4", 6'5". Then we have a sophomore, Luke Starcevic, who will bring off the bench to start the season. He obviously brings size and depth. But we also got some kids that we feel, sophomores and juniors, that are going to be pushing for playing time. So that's one thing early in the season that we're trying to do, is develop some depth and some continuity within usually our 8 to 9 man rotation. So we'll see how that goes early on.
Kind of goes to my next point here, Brad. Win, lose, or draw, what do you want to see from your team from the first couple of games before you get to the Oak Groves, the Central Casses, the Valley Cities, where those games are the true ones that'll matter, because that'll, you know, get to where you will be seed line once you get to that region tournament. So what do you want to see from good competition, but what do you want to see from your club, whether it's the starters or, you know, developing that depth throughout the first couple of games of the year?
Well, I think the depth part, typically early in the season, first 3, 4, 5, 6 games, we try to play a little bit longer of a bench to see how all those players mesh together when they're on the floor. I guess we've always preached being very unselfish. We had 4 guys in double figures last year. All of those 4 guys return. But I think kind of establishing an identity early in the season is kind of what we want to do. We want to play well on both ends on the court, and you're pretty much right as far as what we want to do. We want to guard hard. We want to take care of the ball, and we want to control the glass.
You go from there and, you just take a look at this particular club this season, Brad. I know you've probably been asked this a lot last year, maybe not as much this year, but how did everything go from your perspective? Three divisions of basketball. Everyone was kind of curious what the non-region would look like. Are you still going to get your rivalry games? How much do you got to travel? Who are some new teams on the schedule? So after doing it one year, how is year number two going into it this time of the season?
Well, I think you're kind of used to the teams just not having to play the smaller schools anymore. You're a little bit more familiar, even with teams out west. Since we went to Devil's Lake and played a couple teams there that we traditionally don't play. I absolutely love the three-class system. I think it was long overdue. I think it gives very competitive balance across the board at all three levels. So I think we're really enjoying where we're at as far as basketball in North Dakota.
I know it's going to be a lot of fun, and the A division last year had a lot of really quality teams and really close games. I feel like that might be similar this year with just playmakers coming back and where coaches are as well here, Brett. Is that a fair assessment from your point of view with the outside looking in? I know you're looking in at your region and getting ready for that, but seeing how other teams with Killdeer was a state tournament team. They're a team that's going to be in the top five probably for a good portion of the season. You look out west as well with another Shiloh, obviously Thompson, Four Winds, Grafton. You don't have to say much with those programs being basketball schools. So what does it look like to you coming into this season here, Brad?
Well, I think you mentioned a lot of the teams that are going to bring a lot of competitive balance in our division. A lot of those schools we have on our schedule. There really isn't a night off. When you look at our schedule, you have to bring it every single night. And we like that. I think we like to challenge our kids and provide the best possible schedule that we can for them.
I know you want to get playing, 3 months from now, but currently it's December 16th, and that's all you can worry about. And 17th, 18th, 19th, so to speak, for the week here, Brad. So what as a coach do you enjoy most early on in the season as you get ready for game one, game two, and game three? What do you enjoy most from a coach's perspective during this time of the year that might be different from January, February, once you get to tournament time?
I think it's the opportunity to see these kids come back in the gym and see where they're at, see what type of progress they've made, see what type of strength they have added. I think that's something you look at as a coach, that you can obviously adjust your plan, your scheme a little bit to what type of personnel you have coming in to a season with the break from March until December. So play a lot during the summer, get a good idea who has the ability, who possesses those skills, and what type of contribution they can make to your team.
As we go from there, as we always do, bring up one or two individuals. I know we can talk about a host of them here, Brad, but when someone commits to, a Division I institution with the University of North Dakota there with Carson Osee, just kind of what do you want to see from him as a elder statesman and a senior leader here?
Well, I think you just kind of mentioned it. I think I want to see him develop into more of a true leader this year. A lot of our kids on our team look up to him. So be a little bit more vocal in regards to the leadership role. I think we know what he's going to provide for us on the offensive, defensive end. He could score more. We have guys that average double figures, but we're very, very unselfish, and typically we preach that all year long.
Someone as well that was in there in your double digits, and a guy who quite frankly can have the opportunity to get double doubles on the night as well with Presley Peraza, just with his frame and his size. Just kind of how have you seen his maturation from when he was an underclassman to where he is now as a senior here, Brad?
Well, I think he's one of the most explosive athletes in the state. He's a pretty good trackster as well. I think just maturing mentally and physically and seeing his game grow, especially from the perimeter. We usually had early on in his career played a lot inside, but now we have him doing a little bit of both, facing the basket and also playing with his back to the basket. Good kid to have on the team. He has stepped up as a leader this year, so looking forward to good things from him.
Final thing for me, when you kind of just go through the season, Brad, what's the talent level like in North Dakota compared to 5, 10, 15 years ago? I was talking with one of my friends and also a coach at this, and we were kind of alluding to, You know what? It used to be a really big deal when someone was going Division I in North Dakota, right? You were the cream of the crop, and he goes, now just the athletes have risen their game to where if you're going Division I, it's still a big deal, but you might have 2, 3, 4 kids in a region or on one side of the state that, whether it's football, baseball, track, moving on to Division I. So where have you seen the competition level from your point of view on the bench just continue to grow over the last, decade or so here in North Dakota?
I just think the skill set and athleticism is kind of off the charts when you compare it to 5 to 10 years ago. But I think there's a lot to be said to like AAU, where some of these kids are getting seen on a high level playing field. Like they're traveling all over the place, and they're getting to play against top level competition. So that's kind of a benchmark for them personally to know what type of skills they need to have and what they need to do to get to play at that high level.
Hey, Brad, as always, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck this season. I'm looking forward to seeing you sometime around the gym here over the next coming months.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chase.
And again, Brad Woehl, head coach of the Kindred Vikings on our YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
Don't be fooled by that beat-up old cap. Its faded crown represents the tireless work of America's farmers and ranchers. Its sturdy brim, their dedication to providing our nation with a safe, affordable food source. So we'd like to tip our hat to them. Farmers Union Insurance, protecting those that protect America's food source.
Visit with Ryan Opdahl, your local Farmers Union Insurance agent in Hillsboro.
Growers, prepare your fields and yields against the wet conditions for 2025 and beyond with a drain tile project from Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. Drain tiling will improve and increase your yields and land values for years to come. Chad's Excavating provides free, detailed estimates, and with over 40 years of combined success, they provide professional installation and service. Call Chad today to prepare for your future and any questions that you might have. That's Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Join us, part of our interviews here with DJ Coulter Agency on our post-game show. Again, is Travis Hoeg with us here from Fargo North. Travis, the nice thing is you pick up a conference win. It's your season opening win as well in terms of your home opener. Biggest thing you saw from your team, that you were up by 3 at the half. Shanley didn't go away, especially once they hit those 3-pointers with David Holcraft and Carson Busick. So I know it's maybe not the cleanest win, but in December, it's a win at the end of the day here, Travis.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming back from the West and playing 2 games out there and dropping 2 out there, it was critical to get a win tonight. And so I'm proud of the guys. They found a way to win tonight. But we definitely have a lot of things that we need to clean up defensively. We'll do that in the next couple of days. We'll have a couple of good practices before we got to take Horace on Friday night. So I'm looking forward to Friday night too.
Yeah, Travis Hoeg again with us. Let's talk about Ada-Borup. 12 points in the first half, 12 points in the second. Nearly got a double-double from our numbers tonight. Also hit a couple of threes as well. What did you just kind of see from his performance?
Eric is a guy that is definitely going to need the ball in his hands for us. He's definitely going to be a scorer for us. He's a guy that can rebound the ball well, and he's kind of like a 3-level scorer for us. He's real good outside with his outside shot. He's, that's kind of where he made his name for himself as a sophomore for us coming in when he was getting a few minutes as a sophomore. And then he's really expanded his game. He's put on some weight, good weight, muscle weight, and he's able to, start to bruise guys a little bit and body him up in the paint, and he's able to do some stuff in the paint for us now too, and he's really become a really good rebounder for us as well.
The one thing about this, Matt Sem didn't really get going in the first half. 6 points. He finished with 14, but you're able to see both Eric and then obviously Trey with 16 points. What was working specifically with Trey and Eric tonight to really kind of get that paint area going and get those touches?
Yeah, Shanley plays a no-middle defense, and so we inserted a couple of sets and different looks offensively to try to attack that no-middle defense, and we did not do a good job of it in the first half. In fact, that first half reminded me a lot of our Mandan game, because Mandan plays a no-middle defense as well, and the guys just kind of decided to go away from what we've been practicing all week and kind of just do what they want to do, kind of open gym style. And so that was a little frustrating. So we talked a little bit about at halftime about having discipline on the offensive side and actually running the things that we've been running in practice all week. And we did that a little bit better in the second half. And Trey was taking advantage of that. And, Eric is, he's a magician with the ball in his hands, and he finds guys that are open. So he did a nice job finding them as well.
Two other players to talk about. Crew comes in, hits a big-time three when you kind of needed it. That kind of puts you over the hump. What did you see from him, coming off the bench in that particular moment there, Travis?
Yeah, it was one of those, as a coach, sometimes you just make some of those spur-of-the-moment decisions, and I felt like we needed another shooter out there. And Crew has been playing really well at the JV level, putting up a lot of points and shooting it really well for us. And so I looked down my bench and I was like, he probably was pretty shocked by it too, because it was a close basketball game, and I was just like, Crew, let's go. And I told him, I said, if you get out there and you play lockdown defense, you're not going to be coming back out of this game because we need you in there to shoot the ball when you're open out of that corner. So, and yeah, he, had that possession in the corner and he let it fly. And, it was a big shot for us. So proud of the young man.
Someone that doesn't need to score in Aiden Nojang.
Oh.
12 rebounds we had him down for here. What does he just do in terms of the window that gives other guys knowing that, hey, if he's in there, he's like a black hole, and I mean that in a nice way. The ball's coming to him and him alone.
Yeah. Aiden does a great job. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Peter. He's a dude that just Peter Hauge from last year just absolutely loves to play defense and loves to grind, loves to use his speed and athleticism out there. And then he's just a physical kid too. He doesn't look like he's super strong, but the dude is really strong, and you can see it when he goes up and gets those rebounds. And he's actually, I think, been our leading rebounder every game this season. So he's doing an incredible job for us on the boards. And, he just does a great job. He's just one of those guys that does all the little things that coaches always love about players, because a lot of the guys don't want to do all the little things, in basketball. And he's a guy that does that for us. And he's definitely one of my favorite players out there, just watching him go. He's just got such a good motor.
The Spartans improved to 1-0 on the season. Back up next on the north side against West Fargo Horse before you get Moorhead and Detroit Lakes coming up over the holidays. Travis, good to see you. Thanks so much for your time, and best of luck throughout the rest of the season.
You bet. Thanks for having us on the program tonight and having the game on for everybody at home. So appreciate you guys.
We'll continue.
Now we're glad to be joined by head coach Andy Braaten for the Carrington Cardinal girls basketball team, currently in his 26th year as head coach for Carrington. So thanks, Coach, for joining us here. We appreciate you taking time and chatting with us on your live event coaches program here. So we want to talk about the big matchup this Friday, of course, Carrington at Thompson for a Division A Region 2 battle. But first, let's talk about your season and everything. And I guess we can start with the Devil's Lake contest. Carrington traveled to Devil's Lake on Monday night. The Cardinals fell to the Firebirds. So talk about that contest for Carrington. What did you take away in that game Monday night?
Well, the first half we played with them, broke their pressure, ended up with a 3-point lead. Then coming into the third quarter, they changed up their press a little bit. They attacked the rim a little bit more right away, and they took the lead. I think they were up by 6 with about 4 minutes in the third, and then they finished it off with a nice 15-3 run, and then we weren't in the ball game anymore. So it was a combination of some turnovers and not shooting the ball well to answer their shots. They shot it well. A couple of our turnovers were kind of the pick six variety, where they just stole the ball and went in for a layup, and so we didn't make them work for their points sometimes. But it was a combination of things. Devils Lakes has a lot of returners from their state championship, but we knew going in that we'd have to break their press, and we did a pretty good job in the first half. We looked long. They changed to kind of a 3-quarter press, so we got some things to figure out.
Okay, sounds good. So let's talk about your season. How do you feel about your team's performance so far for the 2024-25 season?
Not too bad. We just look to improve every day. We opened up with New Rockford and Grafton that first week, and did some good things, put some full court pressure on, used our depth. I think our depth is going to be stronger than maybe in years past. Our JV has really done some nice things. And we beat Hillsboro, and we went down to Shiloh and beat a highly regarded Shiloh team. Again, our B squad really did well against Shiloh, and varsity wise against Shiloh, a close game at halftime. I think it was like a 1 or 2 point game at half, and then Mark Hoots came out, hit 6 points right away, and just kind of got us on a roll. We kept it, within that 6 to 10 range, and hit some free throws down the stretch to pull away a little bit. So that was a good win on the road, heading into the Devils Lake game, and we had a little momentum going into that Devils Lake game, and the first half probably showed up a bit. But Devils Lake taught us a few lessons. They're physical, and I think that was kind of a big takeaway too from that Devils Lake game, that we got to be a little bit more physical, and with our depth, we can maybe adapt a little bit to our lineups to get a little more physical.
Talk about some of your team's biggest strengths for this year.
Well, we are fairly quick and balanced. Eden kind of leads us in scoring, Eden Hornet, and but after Eden, we get chipped in from 6 to 8 points from almost 8, sometimes 9 kids. So we are we're kind of blessed that way with having some adaptability and versatility throughout our lineup, and we got some kids that can play various spots. So it helps us to sub a rotation that doesn't have to be set in stone, but we can change as the game warrants. So I'd say versatility and our defensive presence, and kids take a lot of pride in their defense, and a lot of our leadership is on the defensive end.
Okay, good deal. Maybe talk about some players that have stood out in terms of growth or contributions for the Cardinals.
Sure. I'll start with our seniors. Our seniors have been through the program a number of years, and they've had various roles through the years. Eden and Isabel have started for 4 years, and they've seen a lot of court time. Eden's kind of one of our offensive threats. We noticed that Devils Lake put one of their best defenders on Eden, and she had to, really work for her points. And but Eden took the challenge defensively too, and she did a good job defensively. Isabel has been asked to guard. Isabel Wendell's been asked to guard, probably 10 all-staters throughout last year, and she'll probably have that penciled in this year. She takes that defensive challenge and goes with it. She also leads us in assists, and she sees the court very well, and handles the ball for us against pressure really well. But those two have seen most of the court time, and we expect leadership out of them. And we've seen that leadership in other sports with them. Our other seniors, Bryn Smith has had some nice games against Grafton and Shiloh. She came in, hit those corner threes, and has blossomed into a really good shooter. And down in Shiloh, she made a great non-basketball play. We were up maybe by 10 or so, and she had a wide open 3 in the corner with 1.5 minutes left, and she knew the clock. She knew we needed to run some shot clock off, and she sacrificed that 3-point shot to just run some more clock. Just a great headsy IQ play that showed some growth there. And Kennedy Pazernik is another 3-point bomber in the corner, and a guard that is a presence that we try to take away the other team's point guards, with a combination of Bryn and Kennedy. They do a great job, come to practice every day, work hard. Our 5th senior, Cadence Van Ray, kind of our post-rotation player, and we might ask her to play a little more perimeter if we have to go a little bit taller in some of our matchups down the road. But Cadence does a nice job on the bounce. She's improved her game. After guarding some of our more post-up players, she comes into the game and puts it on the bounce against post players, and maybe gets them a little bit by surprise, and goes left really, really well, and finishes in that 10-foot range. Really nice for us. So our 5 seniors, they come to work every day, and great attitudes, great students. And in other sports, you've seen them through the years that they really do a nice job for us.
Okay, good deal. Give us some goals for the remainder of the season here. I know it's still early on. Some early on goals here for Carrington.
Well, our major goal is, hey, we want to win the day. We come to practice every day, try to improve. Every game is kind of a testing ground of, hey, are we improving? And we know there's going to be ups and downs. Our league is tough, up and down. Region 2 is, if it's not the best region, it's close. But we know that, hey, we have to perform night in, night out. And to do that, we have to practice hard every day. And the girls will get some time off at Christmas. So that helps too, because, that's a stretch for most of them. They go volleyball season back to back with basketball season. So hopefully they can get a little rest between December 21, December 25. We come back and we have a nice jamboree in Carrington. A.D. Michelson has put together a really nice jamboree for us over the Christmas holidays.
Yeah, that's right. The 27th, 28th, we'll have all the games for you right here on yourliveevent.com. Looking forward to that. One more question before we let you go, Coach, here. Of course, excuse me, you're 2-1 in the Region 2 and Division A. And big matchup this Friday at Thompson. I think it's a boys and girls doubleheader, and we'll have it right here on Your Live Event again. So give us your thoughts on the Tommies and what do you got to do to come out on top?
Devil's Lake turned us over 31 times, so we need to cut that in half. That's hard to do. Thompson's a good defensive team, very structured. Jason Bren does a great job every year, just getting a group of kids that work together well. I mean, he really does a nice job. And we know they got some really great shooters. They got a couple kids that have returned from, multiple state tournament experiences, not only in basketball, but in volleyball, softball, and everything. So they got some really good athletes. We know we have to lock down on defense and take care of the ball and shoot the ball. So it's a combination of we have to play a pretty well-rounded game to come out on top against the Tommies. We look forward to the venture, traveling down to Thompson. It's always a good game for us, and we have to learn from playing these good teams.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate it, and good luck Friday night and the rest of the season.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for all your coverage. Enjoy it.
You bet. All right, thank you. Yep, we'll see you.
As we come back, joining us, the head coach of the Central Cass Squirrels, that is, again, Jay Bachman. Jay, I kind of joked with Emery Holland saying, I know we don't want to talk about the first quarter, but let's start it, because when you come back from a 15-0 deficit at one point, 17-0, until Emery hits that three-pointer with 7:20 left in that first half.
Yeah.
What was it about this team's just ability to keep on attacking, find a way to, even though, yes, everything went wrong that could go wrong in the opening 8 minutes, to come back and finally, just keep chipping away at this contest?
We had a game plan, and we did the opposite of it for, however many minutes, 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So once we started to do our game plan, then that's when the wheels just kept rolling. Emery caught fire for a while. That always helps, but man, we did everything wrong that you could think of. And then we were able to just fight our way back. And I mean, I'm more proud of this one than if we would have a back and forth and win by 6, because we showed resiliency. We fought hard against a really good team that we're going to see 1, 2, 3 more times this year. So it's just a good team win. And the girls fought like crazy. I trying to stay as calm, as cool as I can, the whole time, and they're freaking out. And internally, I'm freaking out too. But I knew the calmer I'd stayed, the calmer they would stay too. So it was good.
4 players with 8 or more points, with Kinley Hoeg playing with those foul troubles late in the game. Liv obviously with some monster rebounds, big free throws in the fourth quarter, 8 points, 22 by Emery and the 11 by Ava Cotton. I think the biggest thing about this, Jay, 3-point line plus 8 in your favor, 9-1 against Kindred. Also the turnover bug, where you probably had about 10 of them in that first quarter. Really did a better job the last 3 quarters. But what did the second quarter do, allowing, once you made a shot, to set up your press? Because Kindred's press got to you in the first quarter, then you kind of stemmed the tide and turned it almost completely on end the rest of the game.
We did, and you got to score to get into your press or not, or to get out of bounds. So our press worked great, and it really wasn't even, I don't necessarily know if it caused that many turnovers, but it got them out of sync, right? They were just able to do whatever they wanted, but our press got them out of sync, made some girls do some things that they didn't want to do. And they're good players, even just threw the ball out of bounds. Some of those were really unforced. We just were in their girl enough that they were flustered. And really, my girls love to press. They love to be going hard and fast. So that loosened them up. Hitting that first 3 was, you could just feel the gym just feel better. And then the press, our girls feed off it. In the end, I'm like, all right, you want to keep pressing? Are we tired? We need a break. Nope, keep going. So the girls that have played 30 minutes or 28 minutes are telling me, nope, keep going. So That's a testament to them, not me. That's a testament to them.
I know this is just one game, but it's a nice region game. You're able to get to 2-0 in region play, 4-0 on the season. You got another scrappy team with the Grafton Spoilers coming in on Thursday here, Jay. So biggest thing that you learned about this team facing adversity, maybe in terms of that kind of adversity for the first time this season, is what?
I mean, never give up, right? Like, we could have rolled over, gotten down 26, and just lost by 12. You know, we never give up, keep fighting. Our region is tough, right? Honestly, I think we have 7 teams that are solid, hard competitors, and it's anyone's game. Our region last year, Northern Cass was the 4th seed, and they ended up playing amazing and making the state tournament, right? Like, that didn't happen in any other region. So that's how every game's going to be. When we play WAP twice, that's how it's going to be. When we go to Valley and Valley comes here, that's exactly how the games are going to be. And to get them in early, but to get a W is huge for our confidence going forward.
Let's talk about the free throw line here in the fourth quarter. 2-4-6-8. You go 8 of 10 from the free throw line. Ava Cotton rolls the ankle. Abby Kovarovic comes in to essentially seal the game. That's a tough spot to be in. Liv Severson took a couple tumbles trying to take a charge, going hard to the paint. She goes 4 for 4 down the stretch, 4-6 in the quarter. What was it about the free throw line, even though you're gassed, that allowed you to get over the top here, Jay?
You know, we talk about free throws all the time. Every day in practice, we talk about free throws win games, free throws get you to the end, and the girls pride themselves in that. Our last game, we were 16 of 18 from the line, and they were proud of it. That was what they were most proud of. So we know that free throws wins games, and we know that it's crucial. Abby coming in off the bench, Abby's a good free throw shooter, so I had all the confidence in the world in her, and she after the game, she says, "I'm still 100% on the season, coach." So she knows that's her strength, and honestly, it was nice to have her in that situation because I know she's a good free throw shooter, and Ava had missed a couple during the game. Ava's foot was cramping so bad she couldn't even, her toes were like under her heels, and she couldn't say, "My foot, I don't know what's wrong, I don't know what's wrong." She's like, my toes are under my feet. And our trainer's like, "Your foot has a cramp in it." And she took her shoe off, and her whole bottom of her foot was just a big ball. So
It's one of those games that obviously you hope to propel moving forward, and one of those games that, hey, if we're ever down, look back to what happened here tonight going forward.
For sure. Absolutely. And you don't want to be down ever. You don't want to be down ever, let alone 17. But we had some games last year where we came back. We were down 14, 12 points, and we came back and gave it a run at the end, and it's nice to be on the other end of that and get a win out of it.
Hey, Jay, thanks so much for your time. Happy holidays, and we'll see you on Thursday for the spoilers.
Good. Thank you.
That does it for our post-game.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsborough and see why there's more at 104.
Parenting is hard for all of us. And so providing those little resources that we can share for those conversations that are hard to have, and to kind of be that icebreaker for both professionals, parents, and then open up that conversation to the more engaging conversation that's needing to be had.
Being a parent myself, oftentimes it's the simple things that make a difference.
As a busy parent myself, just engaging with your kids, making it an everyday thing so they know that you're there, they can always come to you when those difficult situations do arise.
Contact Trail District Health Unit in Hillsborough for more information.
Sharing our heritage, sharing our future. Choosing the right bank for your financial needs can be challenging with the many choices available. Dakota Heritage Bank is pleased you're interested in knowing more about what they can do for you. The Dakota Heritage Bank community bank setting is a strong advantage they have over larger, less personal banks. Customers are more than account numbers, they are friends and neighbors. Working together, Dakota Heritage Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
For the Your Live Event Coaches Show, we welcome Rich Spiczka, head boys basketball coach for the Pequot Lakes Patriots. Rich, thank you for joining us. I know it's been a late start to the season thanks to the football run, but we appreciate an early look at what this Patriot boys basketball team is doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Coming off not only 3 straight tournaments, state tournament trips, but especially the last 2 years, back-to-back consolation championships, and going from that year to this year, we know there's always some rotations or cycles in high school sports, but you have some really nice pieces that are back this year. Take us through the off season and the drive you felt that these guys had to try to make it 4 in a row coming into the season for the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you mentioned, we've had some success the last 3 years, and one of the big pieces of that success is the ability to, we get an extra 2, 3, 4 weeks of practice than most of the teams in Minnesota get as you make those runs to the state tournament. So, we get I'd say better development. We have quality practices. I mean, part of our success has been we've always had kids ready to go the next year when, other kids have graduated. So, and every team's a little bit different. I felt good about our, off season, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it. If you're going to have a successful program, it can't just start in November and stop in March. There has to be more to it. And, our guys are committed in the summertime to doing stuff. We got a bunch of kids that play AAU in the spring and summer too. So, we have kids putting time in. That doesn't seem to be an issue for us. And it allows us to develop, and that those extra practices and having quality athletes and the depth of athletes we have, afford us the ability to kind of, I don't want to say reload as much as to say, oh, we have all this stuff all the time, but we got kids ready to go from year to year. And I would say last year's a really good example. I think it was a team that, was very unassuming from the outside. I don't think folks expected the kind of success that group had, but it was their turn, their opportunity, and they, from a cohesive standpoint, it's probably the best team I've ever had as far as being connected and playing together and complementing each other. And we feel like we have that opportunity each year to kind of create that. We have quite a bit of depth this year. So, it's exciting to see our kids develop throughout the off season and where we're at, and a little bit of a late start. So we haven't had as much look at our team as other teams have, but that'll happen soon enough. And, hopefully it turns out where we're hoping it does.
Once you get, and as you've gotten the football kids back into the groove with those that don't play and have been able to, put some more focus through the summer in basketball, what have you really liked so far from what this group has shown you for this particular season?
I think in practice we've been pretty, intensity's been good. I think we're pretty committed to what we're doing. Our opener against Pillager, I was really impressed with just how we came out with intensity and kind of guarded people and got after people. And you always wonder, every team has a little bit different temperament, and you got to kind of figure out which buttons to push or whatever. And I would tell you that this team gives me a little bit of concern from our ability of, maybe we got to get after them a little bit more, but I haven't seen that yet. So hopefully it's just a misread on my part. Cause we're talented, we got athletes, and, it's been nice to see our guys kind of, come to work and do it. The other part with the late season or the late start, a little bit different. We didn't have the typical schedule that we're used to as far as practice and preparation, as far as timing for a game. So our kids had a lot of practices in by the time we played that first game. So that also gives you a little bit of pause that, first games aren't always the prettiest thing. You're kind of playing through some nerves, playing through some new, you're going to be a much different team in, the next 25 than you were in the first one as you move forward. But, impressed to see how our kids can. We have to be so competitive in practice because of the level of athletes we get to practice against. We're blessed that way. We got a bunch of kids that can play. So in practice, our kids get pushed every day, and it helps us improve.
When you look at it, and I was at the Pillager game, and one thing that I certainly noticed is that you have quite a few more forwards, 6'4", 6'5" guys than you have, maybe that we've seen in, especially like last year where you had a few more of those smaller 5'10", 5'11" guards. And you play usually a very up and down style. Take us through some of the bigs, when you want to run, how much they can run, and how you try to balance that as you learn your team and what all the pieces are going to be.
Yeah, we're a little bit bigger and longer than we've been in the past. I'd say we're a hair thinner at the guard spot than we've been. We were a little bit thin last year with Breyer being hurt, and we're kind of in the same standpoint now where we've lost a little bit of depth to start the season here with him on the shelf. But it's one of those things to where we don't have, what the old guard would consider the traditional bigs. The stationary basketball player is not really a thing anymore. So even though we got 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", we got guys that can run. Our guys can all run the floor and move around, and you got to be able to play in space in basketball today because everybody pretty much dribbles and spaces the floor. So if you can't guard in space, it's pretty hard to keep you on the floor. So, we're we're pretty blessed that way. It'll have a different, we have the ability kind of to change our lineups a little bit more than we have in the past couple of years. Just we have different, more different parts than we've had. I mean, we have lineups we could play small and really shoot it. We have lineups where we could play big and I think pound on you inside and kind of make you handle those matchups. So I don't think that the size of our guys are going to limit us from being able to get up and down the floor a little bit, but we're also pretty schematic. We'll slow down if we think it helps us, depending on the opponent and that sort of thing. I mean, I think Esco's been a pretty good example of that, where we've, slowed them down a lot over the last few years just because we thought it was our best opportunity, and our kids they adapt to that. So we feel pretty excited about the fact we can play different styles and different lineups. And, we expect our big guys to be able to run the floor so we can play that tempo, and they all can, which helps. And it really pushes you in practice when you have that much size and that much length, because there's not much for passing lanes. There's not much for driving lanes. So helps us get better every day that way too.
Especially for some seniors on this team that whether they were actually on the varsity roster, but were at least part of the program, that have that chance to go to the state tournament in one way or another through their 4 years. Take us through what the conversations are from those guys, the drive that they have. I know one of the huge goals has to be, if you can get to that state tournament, is to win that quarterfinal game, something that hasn't happened with Pequot Lakes. Take us through kind of that senior leadership and what those conversations are like.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing for our seniors every which year is that, they've made it to the end, and there's maybe more opportunity for them than there was, because there's nobody in front of them as far as an age standpoint goes. We're like I said, we're blessed with the amount of depth of athletes and basketball players we have. So we have guys that don't contribute a ton or don't get to play a ton for us that would play a ton for teams that we play, because they're not as talented and don't have as many players, type of thing. So I think the first thing for the seniors is that, better chance at opportunity. They've made it through. They understand what we're doing better than most of the other kids because they've had the most reps at it. And then, for our seniors at this point now, as the bar's been raised for them, and we've talked about this a couple times the last few years, but, now that we've been to the state tournament 3 times in a row, and, we've transitioned to a little bit tougher conference, and, you got new schools that you're playing on a regular basis that kind of want to prove their merit and prove their worth. Or, every night we talk about every night, like that our game is circled. People circle our game on the schedule. There's somebody that we're somebody they're coming after. So, that maturity piece of handling that, unfortunately for our seniors, that's a new thing in the last few years that maybe hasn't always been there. There's always rivalry games and stuff like that get circled, but I think we're circled on a lot more schedules than we have been in the past. And that's just kind of a new norm. So our seniors kind of have to roll with that and understand that's what it's going to be. I mean, we kind of use the adage that, a lot of nights is the other team's Super Bowl, even if it's not for us, but we got to be ready for everybody's best. And, our seniors have been through the wars, been through the battles, not only in games, but in practice. And, they've earned their chance to have opportunity here and move their way up the depth chart. And hopefully all that experience that we've had the past few years will elevate them as we go through this year.
Well, I know, again, in that Granite Ridge, you've got Albany, you've got Foley. There's certainly some tremendous competition there. And when it comes to the section, we know that'll be a fun ride as well. It's just getting rolling for the Patriots. Rich, we certainly appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck, and we'll maybe catch up with you later on the year.
Yeah, appreciate it, Evan. Thank you.
Rich Spiczka, head boys basketball coach for the Pequot Lakes Patriots, joining us here on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsborough, North Dakota. The Hillsborough Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Our senior spotlight tonight is going to be Mason Larson from the Ada-Borup-West School, a senior, as gets a chance to visit with Mason here on the heels of the experience you had this past weekend, part of the Minnesota Vikings All-Star All-State Series for state football of Minnesota, playing for the North All-Stars. Just maybe take us through to start, Mason, that experience, what it was like for you to take in some days as being an all-star, all-state football player.
Well, it was a great experience. Definitely got to see some talent around the state, which was pretty cool. And also spending time with them was really fun. And then also seeing the team come together with practices, because we had a short amount of time. Seeing the team just click, that's pretty cool.
I got to imagine it's a unique experience because you're used to playing football with your teammates, but now you've got days to get ready to play a football game on a pretty big stage.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The thing that helped the most was definitely getting the bonding when we all stayed at the hotel together. Got to meet everyone, and everyone has pretty similar interests, so that helped a lot. Yeah.
Some bonding, like you mentioned. Did you know many of your teammates, or had any acquaintances on the roster?
Well, I knew a couple of kids out there. Like one of the kids from RLC that we lost in the playoffs, I knew him. And also some of the kids I went to camps with over the summer, so I knew quite a few.
Makes sense. What was the day like? The celebration day, the day you get to put the pads on and actually play. What was that like for you?
Well, it's definitely a different feeling because you got to go on the field, warm up, then yeah, the feeling of it. All right, let me answer this real quick.
Sure.
All right, the feeling. Yeah, the feeling though, you definitely a little bit more excited. Definitely felt that adrenaline going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Playing at US Bank Stadium, exciting opportunity there, and obviously too, just to be on a big stage. Obviously you got to have some playing. How do you feel you played and enjoyed the day?
Oh, I thought I played really well. I think I was third in tackles, which was pretty sweet since I played safety.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought I played pretty well. Yeah.
There you go. Well, let's talk about it. I know with the football season specific, had a great career, great run. Your senior year was one that certainly people took note of. I know in hearing conversations with your opposition coaching staffs, they would often say, "Larson kid, we got to be making sure we know what the Larson kid's doing." Football. Tough to see the high school career come to a close. What was your career? Some of your highlights from your career, anyway.
Some of the highlights is definitely after a big win, getting together with the team. That was probably the biggest highlight. Then also the bus ride home. Everyone's just jazzed up about the win. That was probably the most fun. Yeah.
You think is football going to be something you extend? Obviously you get to the state where you're in an opportunity to be an all-state player, recognized that way. Do you think that football is going to be something you extend past high school?
Oh, hopefully, yeah. If I get the right offer, definitely it will extend. Yes.
Where do you have any feelers out there at this stage?
Oh, a little this and that.
Sure.
Well, I'm really
Wait
looking
and
forward
see.
to UND though.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it would be fun. I know there's a lot of opportunity. Where would you like to play? If you could play, I'm talking like offense, defense, where would you like to play?
Oh, I'd like to play defense 100%, but I don't know where on the defensive end I would want to play though.
Leave the options open. See what happens.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're on to basketball, and I know that part of playing in the All-State series, you missed a little bit of basketball. At the same token, should have a fun season. What's the expectation for your senior year playing basketball?
So expectation, that is most definitely to make state. I hope, yeah, make state. And just hopefully go far in it. Yeah.
See where it takes.
Yeah.
With the sports, do you have? Is football your favorite, or do you have a favorite of the sports you participate in?
I'd say definitely, yeah, football's my favorite.
When it comes down to it, Mason, what as far as academically, what are some of the things you like in school? Because everybody's got a favorite class. Maybe it's because it's your favorite teacher or whatever. But what academically wise, what would you say are some of your favorites that you experienced in school?
So I would say Phi Ed, but you can't really count that. So I'd say probably math, just because it kind of comes more naturally, kind of easier. So I'd say that.
Certainly, and a lot of people like that. There's definite correlations. Academically, you find yourself making time when you got a lot of things going on, not just in school, but outside of school and just life in general. How do you make the most out of your time? Are you a time management guy, get stuff done, or are you more of a procrastinator?
Oh, I'm more of get stuff done, like in study all, get into the books. Basically, you get all your work done. Then on the weekends and stuff, you won't have anything to do. So that's what I like to do.
Take advantage of the time. So outside of school, you help out at the farm, or what do you like to do when you got a little spare time?
Oh, I like to lift weights and hang out with my friends a little bit. Yeah.
Sure, nothing wrong with that. Talk about just some of those role models that you've had in your life, Mason, as far as some people that have helped you get to your point at this stage.
Some of the role models, definitely Mason Miller. He was probably the biggest role model for any kid that was like 4 years above or whatever. Yeah, because Yeah, definitely a role model because you went to NSU from a small town. It's kind of fascinating seeing that, especially as a small town kid.
Yeah, and then they come back, right? He's back around. He's involved, and he's bringing camps. He's helping people out. It's a nice thing to have that in your back pocket, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely nice, especially to see him around and see what the success has done to him. Yeah.
The hope of maybe extending the football career into college. Do you see yourself staying closer to home, or do you see yourself venturing out after high school?
Well, I'll probably stay closer to home. Just the home feeling, I like that a lot more.
Very good, very good. Mason, obviously appreciate your time. Wish you very best of luck the rest of your senior career, and congratulations on all the accolades to this stage. I could have started mentioning them all, but they're a pretty good laundry list of things that you would recognize. But obviously appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck as you continue your senior career.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mason Larson, Ada-Borup-West, is our senior spotlight with YourLiveEvent.com.
Again, that does it for the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, the final one here in 2024. With Christmas being on a Wednesday next week, we won't have a program, but then make sure you circle on your calendars the January 1st show, as it will be a year in review here in 2024. Again, that does it for the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Have a great holiday season. The show is always presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller.